It says we're live. I guess that means we're live. What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday night. Yes, Mexican Spec, you are the first. What's happening, my brother? How are you tonight? What a long day, man. Ooh, what a long day. Tittle Sunday. Sunday's like one of the busiest days for me. And it's supposed to be the day of rest, right? Yeah, good luck. Good luck with the day of rest. That just does not happen. Alexander Labs, what's happening, man? James Elliott, George Bonnie, like number 5 now. He used to be number 1. I don't know what happened, bro. Uncle No Identity, Doug Yarden, what's happening? Alex, greetings from Canada, Canadistan. I'm not dripping glass. Oh man, you guys, whoa, you're piling in now. D. Scaglione, Matt S. Terrence Seymour, the Fabricator. What you fabricating, brother, man? Devil Plays Bass. You're thinking about building a Slant 6. Have I ever seen one of the supercharged? Devil's Play Bass. I built a supercharged Slant 6 5 years ago, way before I started doing YouTube. I did the very first Torque Storm Slant 6 conversion. It was on a 64 Valiant. And it was before they released it as a kit. We got like a prototype thing, and we had to give them feedback on how it went and so on and so forth. So yes, I've already done a Torque Storm Slant 6, but like I said, it was 5 years ago. Let's see. Sabin Calm, greetings from Lewiston, Idaho. Paul Capizzola, what's happening? They get the engine run saying, yeah, the guys had the engine running today. We'll have some video up for tomorrow. Is Tony blurry to anybody else? Am I blurry? I might be blurry. You know that? I might be blurry. I could try cleaning the camera lens. Should I try cleaning the camera? I'm going to try cleaning. Hang on. I'll be right back. Okay. Is that any better? No. How did Plan Z turn out? Plan Z's running good. Nope, I'm clear. Okay. You're good? 50. Okay. Hey, listen. Before we go any further, I just want to say one thing. I want to give a shout out to our brothers over at Garage 54, one of my favorite channels. Awesome guys, awesome channel. The most creative people in all of YouTube, Garage 54. Yeah? Okay. So I just wanted to say that and get that out of the way. Let's see. Two Hacks Garage. What's happening, Two Hacks? Let's see. Devil's Plays. How well did the Slant take to the supercharging? I know it has airflow issues. Did that remedy those problems? It ran really good. The issues with that car was the gearing was way wrong. It was geared for the highway. Had 8 3/4 with like a 270 gear in it. There was a 4-speed. It made really good mid-range power, not so much upstairs. But again, it's like I wasn't really expecting very much out of it. It ran very well. It was happy with that car. Excuse me. If you're thinking about doing like a Torque Storm Slant 6, the kit is excellent. The only thing I can tell you is if you're doing it on an early A-body, 64 through 66, you're going to have to put the battery in the trunk. But other than that, and the fan. The fan is going to be an issue. The fans, you can't use a belt-driven fan on the thing. You have to use an electric fan that's going to have to go in front of the radiator. That's the only thing I can tell you about that swap, of any consequence. But if you're thinking about doing it, it's not a bad kit. Fubar the Axe, what's happening? Who's spamming? Who's spamming? Let's see. What was the best, Kevin Camacho, what was the best Mopar luxury car during the muscle car era? I mean, the Imperials. The Imperials were like world-class, luxury cars. What can you say? I mean, the whole run of Imperials from the 50s all the way through the early 60s. By the time like 1970 happened, it was just kind of like an overstuffed Chrysler, right? But when you go to like the real Imperial years, like the 62, 63, 60, those were just amazing cars. I would say, those. Mopar Al, what's happening, Mopar Al? Let's see. Motorcycle tow service. Is the 904 a good auto trans or just go to 727? Why? The 904 is an excellent, underrated automatic trans. And if you can use a 904, there's no big block 904s, but if you're doing a small block, unless the car is ridiculously heavy and you got like over 1,000 friggin' horsepower, the 904 will handle it. Let's see. The letter cars were hot. Yeah, Chrysler built a lot of nice cars. They built a lot of nice cars in that era. AT, Tony, if you could choose only one Mopar, what would you have? I couldn't choose just one. If I had to choose one, it would be something that I'd be able to just drive every day with regular gas and stuff. It would probably be. It wouldn't be an exciting car. I tell you that right now. If I could only have one, right? If I only have one, it would not be an exciting car because exciting cars take a lot of effort. You can't really enjoy exciting cars very much. I would want something I could just jump in any day, turn the key, drive it, put gas in at any pump, get decent gas mileage, complete total reliability. So my answer would probably not be the one you would be expecting. Biggers Media, thank you for the super chat. You picked up your dream car. It's a 32 Plymouth Gasser known as Texas Termite. Oh, geez. Send subscribers my way. I so want to see that car. Biggers Media. Go check out Biggers Media and check out his 32 Plymouth Gasser known as a Texas Termite. That is too cool. Too cool. Unity Motorsports. What's happening, Andy? How are you, my brother? The Wrench. Hey, what's going on? Dan Patch, have you done anything with the new Dodge Motor, say the late 90s 5.2 Magnum? I have not, but the Junkyard Jet guys are doing a 5.9 Magnum. So, but I mean, me personally, no, I haven't. Hook, line, and fishing. I love the 58 Plymouth Fury. There's something off about those cars, man. I can't put my finger on it exactly. If you look at the other forward look cars, okay, like the Chryslers, the DeSotos especially, right? They're smooth and they're right. There's something about the Plymouth that's just off. It's just off. I can't put my finger on what it is. It has something to do with the fins, but I'm not a stylist. I'm not Virgil Exner, you know what I'm saying? So I can't really pinpoint what it is about those cars that I look at them. I'm like, nah, really not quite. But you look at, you can't compare. Look at, like I said, look at the DeSotos from that era, 58 DeSoto, 59. Oh my God, just beautiful, beautiful flowing cars. And the Plymouth doesn't quite make that. Let's see. '57 DeSoto Adventure. Yeah, all the late 50s DeSotos were beautiful cars. Leonardo Miguel, you're watching from Argentina. What's happening, man? 58 Plymouth Fury, wasn't that Christine? Yes. Yeah, 58. Wayne Buzzle, you like that? You like that interesting video? Yeah, I thought it was neat. Gary White, Tony, any reason that switching to an aluminum oil pan with a longer pickup tube could cause noise in the lower end? Well, it's possible. It's possible, very possible, that the one of the rods or counterweights is hitting the pickup tube, and that's not unusual at all, especially in engines like the Sled 6. Very, very tight between, so yeah, that's probably what's going on. I need Kiwi or Buff to co-host. Well, I think next week we're going to have Steve Mignanti. I'm not sure, but Mike Harrington, what if Mopar had used 426 max wedge heads to make a hotter 440 to take on the LS6 454? The problem with that is, I remember you got to go back to the era now. Okay, you got to go back to the era. The LS6 is a street motor. It has heat passage, heat crossover to heat the bottom of the carburetor, right? To make the choke work, for cold weather, easy drivability and so on and so forth. The max wedge has no heat crossover. So just taking the max wedge heads and putting them on a production car like they did the LS, the LS6, it would not have worked. It would have had to have a manual choke. It would have been like very undrivable in cold weather and stuff like that. So, Yeah, LS6 and Max Wedge are apples and oranges. The Max Wedge is a true full race motor. The LS6 is beautiful, just a awesome all-around engine. Let's see. Douglas Fellow, when is the bike channel coming online? I met a bunch of Grom guys the other night, and well, I didn't want to get into that now. But the bike channel will come along. We're just so busy with everything else right now. It's like it keeps getting put off on the back burner. It keeps getting put off and put off and put off. I want to do it. I want to do motorcycles more than I want to do anything else, right? Anything else. I want to do motorcycles, right? But it's just not in the cards at this very minute. We will get on it as soon as it's practical. Parker Russell, you visited Bennett's garage yesterday. They're good people. Tell them I said hi. D. Scaglione, Tony's next purchase, a bike with a sidecar. A Ural, right? I should get a Ural. What's a Groom guy? A Grom. Hi, they're Honda Mini Motos, man. You look up Grom and you'll see what I'm talking about. You got a Vulcan 900. Those are good bikes, man. The Vulcans are good bikes. Mike Fredericks, did Cliff Gromer use an alias named Phil DePage? Yes, he certainly did. Yeah, oh God. Mexican Spec is saying TK's Garage posted a picture of gasoline in California at $7.29 per gallon for regular. See, everybody's going to end up on a motorcycle. Everybody's going to end up on a motorcycle before this is done. Let's see. Steel Surgeon, your timing by Field Video was awesome. Can you do a video showing us newbies what Spark Knock sounds like? Oh, we probably could. But let me think about how we would go about doing that. Christopher Conrad, thank you for the super chat. Concourse de Elegance, Amelia Island this weekend. Gator Nationals down the street next weekend, and Bike Week in between. Too much motors at once. Go for it, man. You're going to hit all three of those events this weekend? Yes, Mike Fredericks. Yes, he did. I answered that already. Doug Nardno, no, you've got that CBX. Gary White, you paid $5.15 in San Diego on Friday. Well, today you're probably paying $6. Did Tony get another model? Yes, I'm going to show it in a minute. Mr. Will, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Will. Hey, Tony, just want to say I registered for the No Name Nationals. We'll do content of my 30 years of muscle car wrenching and collecting. 80 subs was 2 was. Please do a shout out. You got it, brother, man. Absolutely. Mr. Will's Dying Breed Garage. Go over. Mr. Will needs subs. Okay, so as I say every one of these lives, if you've got a channel and you're trying to qualify for the No Name Nationals, you have to get your 500 subscribers up, right? Feel free to tell people what's on your channel. Get your subs. Use this opportunity to get your subs. So yeah, definitely. Mr. Will's Dying Breed Garage. Go check him out. Mr. Will's always on. He's a good guy. Let's see. Opinion on an 86 Kawasaki Eliminator. Tiny bikes. That's the Eliminator is like the same as the old what's the word I'm looking? What's the bike I'm looking for? The Honda, not Nighthawk, the Honda Rebel, the Kawasaki Eliminator, the Honda Rebel, the Suzuki Savage. I'll tell you what, for scooting around town, they're fine. You know what I mean? They're fine. You're going to use it to jump on it and go like what I use a Super Cub for. Like the other night, I wanted to get a bag of chips, so I jumped on the Super Cub and I ran down to the supermarket and I grabbed a bag of chips and I got in the supermarket, got in the Super Cub and rode back. That's an Eliminator is good for something like that, but it's not the kind of bike you want to actually take out on the road. It's not a good main motorcycle if you know what I mean. It's a good starter bike. But they're very small, very light. Biggers Media, thank you for the super chat. If you Google Texas Termite, you'll see it. I can't really Google anything right now, brother man. Okay. Oh, Noah Tucker. Thank you for the super chat, Noah. Where do you buy your Slant 6 parts? What dwell do you suggest for a 40 over 9-to-1 compression Slant 6? Should I Should I up the heat range? Heat range. No, heat range. I mean, the heat range. The stock heat range is probably fine. Okay, what dwell do I suggest? 40 degrees of dwell. 40 degrees of dwell. Let's see. That's it. Oh, and a lot of this Lane 6 parts I pick up off of Rock Auto. It's the cheapest way to go for a lot of stuff. Obviously, you can't get specialty parts for them, but if you need a gasket set, you need seals, you need timing chain and whatnot, Rock Auto. Let's see. Mostly all parts and rust. Tony, great channel. I need subs. Mostly all parts and rust need subs. I have a Dick Landy Duster with a Turbo 318 Magnum. Nice combination. I like that. Floyd's Garage, Rock Auto, got a lot of bad parts on them. I haven't had any problems. David Leonard, you're saying the Kawasaki Eliminator was a muscle bike? I had a 900 Eliminator and a VMAX. Okay, what do they call what is the name of the little Kawasaki? The one that's the competitor to the Rebel, the Honda Rebel. VMAXs. Yeah, VMAXs are fun. VMAXs are too much fun. My friend Brandon has one. He says he comes over. He showed up here a couple of months ago, right? He's riding his VMAX, right? And he's like, "Take it for a ride." And I'm like, "No, go away. I'm not touching that bike. I've ridden them before. No, it's too much fun. I don't want to go there." You believe they made a Z1000 Eliminator? No, no. They have the KZ1000. All right, somebody help me out here. Okay? Wait, I have the internet. Okay, I have the internet. Okay, so I'm going to go Kawasaki. Yep. KAWASAKI Eliminator. ELIMINAT. Kawasaki Eliminator. Best beginner motorcycle. Kawasaki Eliminator 125. Here. There's a Kawasaki Eliminator. It's a Honda Nighthawk, but it's a Kawasaki. Good evening, Unc. I've always loved my V-Rod. It's no VMAX complaining. Yeah, they run good. My friend Ralph DeCobb had one when I first moved here. No, the V-Rods are nice bikes. Not my cup of tea. You know, I'm not saying anything negative about them at all. Just not my cup of tea. They do it for some people. They don't do it for others. You know. Let's see. Mexican spec. Your Rebel was a 250, but they sold a 500 as well. Also, they worth it already paid for new. Okay. Deft Antis, I can't even pronounce your name, but you upgraded from an 83 Virago 750 to a 2012 Honda CBR 500R last year. This I hear a lot of good reviews about the CBR 500R. But the 83 Virago was a fantastic bike, man. There's one for sale here in Murfreesboro. For the guy wants 500 for it. It needs a starter. I think the starter bolt stripped out, and I'm having a hard time not buying it, you know. But I don't need to add any more complications to my life. They were great bikes. Unity Motorsports, yes, that's right. Honda Monkey for the win. Having fun going slow. I agree 1,000%, dude. Andy, I ran into a clique of, Grom guys that are buzzing around the area here. There's like a dozen of them, and I got to go out and ride with these guys. But I can't take the Super Cub because the Super Cub is just silly. So now I think I'm going to use. I got to fix the transmission in my Buell Blast. So I'm going to go run around with the Grom guys on my Buell Blast. Gideon Wallace, UTG, ever ride a Moto Guzzi? I've ridden them, yes. I've never owned one. Let's see. Oh, you check it out already, Paul? Good night, brother. Yes, Two Hacks Garage. Fubo just put up the link to Two Hacks Garage. Go check them out. You had the Honda CT70 as a kid, a red one. The CT70s run better than the 125. So I got the new one, the 125, and it doesn't run as good as, it doesn't have as much power as the 70s. The 70s, and I never owned a 70, but when I was working on bikes, I had my hands on a couple of them, and I remember it as being like, wow, that's pretty amazing for a 70cc four-stroke. But the 125 doesn't really run. Okay, I tell you what, how's it sound? The 125 runs about the same as a 170, which tells me that not 170, better than the 70, which tells me that the 70 is just a better overall motor, because it's almost half the cubic inch displacement, half the cc displacement, and it makes about the same power. Barrow's Garage, my first and only bike was a 72 Triumph Bonnie. Zener diode, man, Zener diode. Let's see. Okay, SH. Tony, I apologize in advance if you already addressed this and I just missed it, but what's up with the slant you just did? Didn't see the fire up and drive yet. We fired it up on last Wednesday night's live, and you're not going to see a drive on it until we're ready to take it to the track. It's just sitting in the shop right now. Let's see. Big Belly Racing is needing subs for the no-name nationals. Big Belly Racing, tell people what you do and why they need to go to your channel and sub to it. Let's see. Tall Garage, thank you for the super chat, Tall Garage. Still fighting for subs. Anyone who wants to see a little bit of everything, come look. Thanks. P.S. The LS heads for the Ford 300 are cut and taking shape. So Tall Garage is sectioning LS heads, Chevy LS heads, GM LS heads, for a Ford 300 straight six. So if you're into like oddball combinations, right, there you go. Tall Garage, go and check out what he's doing over there. Yeah, the Honda Rock is hardcore. Jonathan Couchy, Crossflow Slant 6 head. Not from me. I wish somebody would come up with one, but I don't have, not me. Thank you for the super chat, Jeff Goodson. Let's see. Devin Bound, did you see Cold War Motors JB Cylinder Wall? I have not seen it yet. I understand he gave us a shout out, but I have not seen the video yet. Joe K. Steve Maggs here next week. Yeah, I think we set up that we were talking about the middle of March, which will be the Ides of March, which will be next weekend. So I'll throw him a text later on, and I'll see if he wants. But I think we're supposed to go next weekend. Don't quote me on it, but I think we're supposed to be next weekend. Have I watched Wayne Buzzle? Have I watched the Pole Barn Garage Holy Goat? I have not seen it. I saw pictures of it in its original state, but I have not seen his videos on it yet. Spicy Meat Banana. That's a good name. Unrelated to what we're all here for, but I was thinking of making a mini V8 out of other single-cylinder engines. What's everyone's thought? I have no thoughts on that. Levi's Backyard Performance, thank you for the super chat. Tony, struggling for subs. We put everything out about ramp trucks and turbo LS Laguna S3s and odds and end tips. Levi's Backyard Garage is struggling for subs. Go and check out Levi's Backyard Performance. Um, Alexander Liz, spicy meat banana is possible. Anything is watch Garage 54. You can watch Garage. Yeah, Garage 54 shows you everything is possible. But Alan Milliard, if you really want it, you want to see what's possible with melding of engines, go check out Alan Milliard. Bear Rose Garage is endorsing Levi. He's saying that Levi has some good stuff. Okay. And Fubar just put up the link to Levi's channel. Hank Reardon, how much does bore size affect fuel mileage? 273 versus 318 for fuel mileage. Bore size does affect fuel mileage, which, okay, so think of it this way, right? You have one drop of gas, okay? You have one drop of gas, right? And you're going to drop it into a hole that's this big or a hole that's this big, right? Which is it going to have a greater effect on? That one drop of gas, that hole or that hole? Obviously, it's going to have a better effect on the smaller hole. So therefore, what it'll do is it'll drive the piston down further. I know I'm using like the roughest analogy I possibly could. It's like, but it works, right? 1 ounce of gasoline in a hole this big, 1 ounce of gasoline in a hole this big, or a drop rather, right? Which is going to drive the piston down further because it's the distance that the piston is driven down that makes the engine run, that makes the power. Like the less foot you have to give it to go, the less foot you have to give it, the more gas mileage it goes. Let's see. Mexican Spec has a channel for Mexican cars. That's interesting. Let's see. Mark, how you doing, man? I'm doing great. Doug Norden, with 70s BMW motorcycles, the larger the displacement, the better the mileage it gets. Interesting. Is the displacement due to bore or is it due to stroke? Two different things. And also, is the smaller displacement engine underpowered? So in other words, does the smaller displacement engine have to work harder to push the wind at, let's say, 50 or 60 miles an hour? See, there are so many factors that come into this. But the question he asked was just on bore size with no other situation. Dizzy Izzy, thank you for the super chat. He all needs subs. Subscribe. Okay, so Dizzy Izzy. Dizzy Izzy, you're looking for subs for the No Name Nationals, correct? Biggers Media, she runs a 388 with a 671, 707, I guess 707 horsepower on 8 pounds. That's stout. Wait, let me go back to Biggers Media. All right. Flames 62. What are your thoughts on Holly versus Edelbrock 4 barrels? Looking to pick a new carb for my build. I prefer the Edelbrock, the Carter AFB AVS Edelbrock style carburetor for a regular street driver, right? Just a moderate to low performance street driver. I prefer the Edelbrock. Hollies are awesome. We run out of the Edelbrock scale, right? So you see what I'm saying? When you get past the capabilities of an Edelbrock, in my mind, that's where Holly takes over. Holly, to me, is a higher performance carburetor that's much better suited to competition use. Two Hacks Garage, 498. Thank you, sir. Pole Barn Garage accepted our call out. We are racing the Holy Goat at the No Name Nationals, GTO versus GTO, with two drastically different cars. Will be a blast. That is awesome. So there you go. Pole Barn and Two Hacks battling GTOs. So what more can you ask for? This is good. This is what life is. This makes life good. Battling GTOs at the No Name Nationals. Jeff Goodson, $5. Thank you for the super chat. My 63 Corvair stalls. New carbs. Any advice? Bro, it could be anything. I mean, like, it could be, try to be a little more specific. try to throw a little more specific information in there, and we'll see if we can help you with this. Need middle. Will spectators be allowed to race? Yes. Spectators are encouraged to come. No, and this is not my event. This is John Wilburn and Dallas, the two and Dallas Brown. This is their event, and I'm only helping them to spread the word and to promote it. Let's see. Joe K. On a Nissan dual overhead cam V6, which has a crank angle sensor, it spins off one of the exhaust camshafts. It is adjustable to set timing. Use the same principles as adjusting a standard distributor. Maybe not. Does that engine have a knock sensor? First off, is it computerized? If it's computerized, it should have a knock sensor. If it has a knock sensor, you could be shooting yourself in the foot, because what happens is the knock sensor will bring it back further than it needs to make a knock go away. So you won't hear the noise. You'll keep advancing the cam, but you're not going to hear the noise. But power is going to fall off because the knock sensor is going to keep bringing the timing way back. The things that I outlined on that are for a non-computerized carburetor, conventional distributor ignition. Now, I'm sure there are ways to alter the timing curve on your Nissan, but I can't tell you what they are off the top of my head. Let's see. Mike Batista, when you hear the ping, it's already pinging. That's right. That's right. SH, well, I don't know, Tony. Your show is cool. You're cool. Thank you. They don't have Uncle Kathy or Puddin'. JK will do. I don't know who JK is. Franco, what's happening, brother man? Is this that Sykes of Missouri track the one run by those guys with the Corvair funny car? I do not know. Throttle Davidson just picked up a 4,000 A1 stall speed last week for really cheap. I have a 30 over 318, 391 gears. Any cam lift recommendations? Cam lift? Lift is really the least of your concerns when choosing a camshaft. Maximum lift on that engine, you've got the stock hits. Maximum lift is about 520, give or take 520, 500, 520, 530 is about it, because at that point the retainer hits the top of the valve guide. So, but it's lobe separation and duration are what you're really concerned with. And what you need to do is get on the phone with a camshaft manufacturer, so a cam grinder. They have helplines. That's what they're there for. This is what they do. And help and go with them to spec out the cam, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. It's not just as simple as picking a lift number and going from there. There's so many different variables to that. Let's see. John has just got home from the Detroit Autorama show. Was lighter than normal this year. Still fun though. People probably having a hard time justifying spending the loot to drive out there. Mr. Will's dying begrudged. Tone, when does a steel crank become mandatory over a cast crank? Will be rebuilding my 78 Pontiac 400 soon. We'll definitely be changing the cast rods. 78 doesn't have cast rods. I don't believe. 78 has got the regular. It's got just normal connecting rods. I can't give you. I don't know the Pontiac engine well enough to give you a specific recommendation, but I would say into the 400 or 500 horsepower range, you should be fine with that cast crank. Let's see. Scat Pack, high volume oil pump. Do you think that can save the Hemi cam failure issue? No. You could pump all of the oil through the pan, through the pump all at once at 10,000 psi, but that doesn't get the oil to the very top of the camshaft up there. The lifters are oiled by splash, right? And what can dribble down? It's just a bad design. It has nothing to do with pressure. Nothing to do with pressure. It has to do with the angle that the lifters sit in the block and the distance that all of that is from the crankshaft, which is throwing oil off as it's running. All other engines, cam in block engines, are oiled by windage, really windage. What comes off the rods as the engine is spinning. That is being splashed, plus what runs down from the lifter galleys. So normally the lifter galleys are like this. The oil drips down from the bottom of the lifters directly onto the camshaft. And then underneath, the crank is throwing oil from the top. So the camshaft is being constantly lubricated. On the Hemi, instead of the lifters being like this, the lifters are like this. And instead of being this far from the crankshaft, they're this far from the crankshaft. And there's an oil galley that runs in between. So they don't get that full splash of oil that other engines do. No gods, no masters. $5. Thank you, sir. Can you give a shout out to my buddy Gabe, the Vanilla Gorilla? I thought that was what's his name? Jesse James's name, the Vanilla Gorilla. But yeah, man, Gabe, the Vanilla Gorilla. What's happening, brother, man? Let's see. Jeremiah Stewart, what project car would you recommend for an 18-year-old just starting out? Something simple. Something that had a six-cylinder or a small block V8. Try to go with as close to a conventional, regular mom and pop type of car. Doesn't have to be a boring car, but honestly, anything you pick up from the 60s or the 70s is going to look amazing in today's traffic. So don't worry about if it has an image that's, all of the people who know of that image are dead, the geriatrics. So just be concerned with the car's presence in traffic. So I mean, you could take a six-cylinder, Chevelle, Chevy Nova, or four-door even. Okay, it doesn't make a difference. And take that and drive it in today's traffic, and the thing looks just majestic. It's just beautiful. You know what I mean? Park it in a parking lot amongst all of the modern cars, and it just stands out. So that said, man, don't concern yourself with what the car's original image or original intent was. Try to find something that's very basic, very simple engine and driveline, right? And just have fun with it. Just have fun with it. Let's see. White Kong, thank you for the super chat. I commented a few weeks ago about your videos on finding old cars. Update, I found 22 cars recently. 255 Chevy, 2 doors, a 36 Ford Coupe, etc. Awesome. Thank you for the super chat. Jonathan Couchy, what are Cast 360 cranks good for power-wise? Say if I put studs and a windage tray in it. The windage tray has no effect on what the crank will absorb as far as power goes. The amount of power that any given crankshaft will take has to do directly with the amount of abuse. Harmonics, detonation. Detonation is the thing that kills crankshafts. It kills everything in the bottom end. If you keep a good small block cast crank out of detonation, there's no reason you can't make 500 horsepower with it, 600 horsepower with it. By the same token, that same crank in a let's say an on the edge tune-up where we got a lot of ignition advance, not quite fuel quality, sudden loading and stuff like that, you'll hurt it at 300 horsepower. So it just depends. The studs, again, the studs will help to strengthen a block, but not really so much the crank. And like the windage tray doesn't make any difference at all as far as the longevity of those things. KY Mopar, do you still have a Harley that I bought a few months ago? I have two. I have a 2002 883R and I have a 61 XLCH. And yes, I have both of them. I've been riding the 2002, and the other one is the 61 is sitting literally here in the studio with me. If I turn this camera around, you can see the bike sitting right there. I'll tell you. Let me tell you a story about. Let me tell you a story about the windage tray, because he brought up the thing about the window tray. Now, here's something that I found that was like extremely interesting, and it costs us a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. Um, why won't even I? Okay, in 1997, 1998, fuel cars started to go from the wet sump system to a dry sump. Okay, so this was like part of the normal evolution of the breed. I have no idea what they run today because I'm not involved. I'm not involved. I don't talk to anybody. I don't even see the stuff on TV. I have no idea, right? But we're talking about windage, right? We're talking about windage. So previous to 1997, the middle 90s, okay, you had an 8-quart pan, right, that you would 8 to 10 quart that you would overfill, right? Literally, the crankshaft would be submerged in oil, right? This is 70 weight nitro oil. When on acceleration, that oil would all stand up at the back of the block and get like just whipped into like just craziness, okay? And at the time, there was no real finite number of runs you could get out of a crankshaft, okay? So if you had a good crank, you can get 10, 12, 20, 30 runs out of it, just depending on your tune-up, how the balance, the tune-up of the car. When they started go to a dry sump system, right, and they took that oil out of the pan and they put it in a separate tank, they freed up power because it was taking 100, 200 horsepower just to churn through that 70 weight oil at the back of the crank. But when they went to the dry sump system, all of a sudden you had these massive explosions. Cars were just throwing crankshafts on the ground. They were shattering connecting rods. It was a mess. And the whole evolutionary process had to start all over again with stronger crankshafts, different connecting rods, different composition connecting rods, and so on and so forth. To make it, and this was all like 1897, 1998. I deduced at the time, and it only makes sense, that what's happening was that oil that was wrapped around the back of the crankshaft, stacked up at the back of the block, and wrapped up in the reciprocating assembly was acting as a harmonic damper. So at the front of the engine, you have the blower, okay? And the blower belt is acting as a harmonic damper at the front of the engine. That oil that would stack at the back was acting as a harmonic damper at the back of the engine. And this was sucking all of the noise. When I say noise, I mean very high frequency vibrations out of the reciprocating assembly. When they went to the dry sump, you lost that damper at the back. And all of a sudden, rods started shattering, cranks started shattering. And that goes back to the reason I even bring this up is because he has about strengthening the bottom end of the 360, and he wants to add a windage tray. And I know it's apples to oranges what a windage tray will do on a regular gasoline burning small block Mopar, and what a case of oil wrapped around the crankshaft on a 426 Hemi would be. But like I said, it made me think of that, and I don't know. I'm rambling. See, sometimes I get detached and I start rambling. Okay, Fubar just put up the link to John Wilburn's channel. John Wilburn is one of the two organizers of the No Name National. So you have any questions about the No Names or anything like that, and John Wilburn does lives on his channel answering questions and all of this about the No Name Nationals. So please go over there if you have any questions and check out, subscribe to John and watch what he has live. And you can jump in there and you can answer all your questions. Let's see. Floyd's Garage, what about high pressure versus high volume? Both high pressure and high volume work with the concept of larger clearances. So higher performance engines have larger internal clearances. They also turn higher RPM. So what will happen is the combination of higher volume and higher pressure compensate for extending the normal use of the engine. So if you have bigger oil clearances and you're spinning it at a higher RPM, you need to push more oil through the system. Danny Boyd, is high volume better? to a point. High volume, one of the things with high volume pumps you have to watch for is oil drain back. It becomes very important when you go to a high volume pump because remember, the high pressure, especially high volume pump, is sending more oil through the system, which means that more oil is heading to the top end, either through the rockers like on a Chrysler or through the push rods on a General Motors or a Ford. It's sending more oil. So drain back becomes very, very important. Chris Belvac, thank you for the super chat. Hey, UT, the Cadillac vid was great. I enjoyed doing it. I had a 66 Oldsmobile 98, and your vid reminded me of it. My 98 had the original 425 Super Rocket, 8 gas. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Let's see. Orlando VJ75. Hey, Tony, does my LA360 need an oil slinger or not? Yes, it does. Unless you want to have a constant oil weeping out of the front of the engine, yes, it needs a slinger. The seal, the crankshaft seal, is not intended to work, as a liquid barrier. It's supposed to catch the seepage and what will get past the slinger. But like when you step on the brakes, let's just say you're driving down the road, okay, and you step on the brakes relatively hard, the oil sloshes to the front of the engine and it gets forced right up against that seal. And what the slinger does is it keeps that oil from getting on there. And like I said, without the slinger, you'll always have an oil mist. You'll always have an oil wetness at the front of the engine. And also there's a felt. If you're using a stock damper, you'll see that there's an opening, like a channel in the back of it facing the engine part of it, and there's a felt. Like an absorbent ring that fits in there that's supposed to actually catch some of that mist that gets by. Jeff Goodson, the 63 Corvair. So the 63 Corvair carbs are new, but still stalls. Not sure if it's the fast idle tang or the idle screw. It stalls when I come to a stop and go to accelerate again. I have synced carbs with a vacuum gauge. Okay. So carbs are new, fast idle tang or idle screw. But what is the idle speed? Is the idle speed adequate? Right? Now, also, a float level adjustment could be part of it too. When it stalls when you come to a stop and go to accelerate again. Okay. Okay. What you could have is a float that's set too high, right? That's overfilling the float bowl. So this is common like on slant sixes, right? When you go to when you decelerate, you come to a stop, gas will slosh over the top of the boot. So in other words, the float level is supposed to keep the fuel under the level of the booster. So the vacuum is the only thing that pulls fuel through. If the float level is set just a tad too high, what will happen is under movement, the gas will wave, okay? And it'll go over the level of the booster and drip into the booster when there's no vacuum to pull it through. And that will cause it to stall. Very common in slant sixes. If you ever get like a slant six, it stalls when you're making a left turn, is it? Or is it a right turn? I don't remember. It's either a left or a right turn. That's what it is. The float level is set too high. So check that. That could very well be it. Okay. Big Belly Racing, Uncle Tony, do you know anybody in the Freedom Convoy to DC? Support from Canada? I do not. I give them 100% of my support. They're awesome. We're 1,000% behind them. But no, I do not know anybody there. If you are part of that convoy, and even if you're part of the Canadian convoy, I obviously that it's over with, but I stand and salute you. You're taking action, and that's like so important. Okay. Clifford Ram, considering the higher fuel prices, think you could do an economy carb series? Like, how lean is too lean? Best timing for economy? Yes, I actually plan on doing a lot of that. The problem is, remember, YouTube is a business. So if I do videos like that prematurely, they won't get clicks, they won't get views. So I have to keep doing video. I have to keep dancing around, right? And doing videos that are going to get that. I think, you throw a dart at the wall. Is this going to get views? I don't know, right? I have to wait a little bit longer for the reality of all of this stuff to set in, and then we can do some more of that type of video. Yes, I absolutely intend 100% intend on doing fuel mileage and efficiency stuff. Jeff Goodson, thank you for the super chat. Oh, thanks for your. Oh, bro, Jeff. I mean, listen, we're all here to kind of help each other. You know what I mean? So it's like, thank you. Eric Kearns, do you get called out by the Memphis street racers? No. I am so not a street racer. I am so not a street racer. I am so not a drag racer. I am so not. That's all stuff I did in the past. I'm no. And I don't want to get called out by anybody. I'm racing Andy. Isn't that enough? I'm racing Andy. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I cannot begin to explain to you how like I am very much more interested in like stock regular driver cars, like a stock 318 two barrel, a stock slant 6, or or something like John's Caddy, right? A driver, a cruiser, motorcycles, basic motorcycles, than I am in anything having to do with racing. I'm just not into it anymore. Jeff Goodson was my first car. First car I ever built was a 1969 Dodge Charger with a 446 pack. I was 16. And I built that in the street in New York City under a street light in front of my parents' house, and fought my neighbors. I fought the cops. I fought my parents. I fought everybody. But I built the car. Let's see. Tim Miller, it's freezing rain in Kansas City. It's been beautiful here. Murder Nova, I thought it was a Roadrunner. No, I had many Roadrunners, but the first car was a 69 Charger. You good? Okay. That's Austin from the Junkyard Jet. They were running their motor on the stand today. All right. So I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right. We'll touch base during the day.
Okay.
All right, brother man. Good night.
Say
good night to John.
Yeah.
Biggers Media has been watching since the start. You need 10 more subs. That's it. Biggers Media needs 10 subs. Let's get Biggers Media that 10 subs. Auto 1303, Tony, small block Mopar versus big block Mopar. Thoughts and pros and cons of each design. Small block wins. Small block wins. I mean, it's got a much better cylinder head going in. It's got a 100-pound weight advantage. Parts are more available. Good night, brother man. And happy birthday. Did I tell you happy birthday?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay.
Front door's locked.
Okay. Mike Batista, back in them days, you could have a 69 Charger as your first car. Okay, that 69 Charger, it was a stolen recovery. The motor and trans were gone. The interior was there. I paid $20 for the car. I paid $20 for the car. It cost me $20 to have it towed from the place that I bought it to the street in front of my parents' house. And I sold the center section. It had 323 posi in it, sure grip. Had a 323 sure grip. And I sold that for $20 to pay for the tow. I actually had to go to the car over at this guy's. Remember, I was 16. I was nuts. Okay, I was like nuts. So I actually I borrowed the $20 from my friend Nick, paid for the car, went and took the rear end out of it at the guy's house, brought the rear end to somebody, sold that for the $20, paid Nick back, and then I got the money to tow the car back to that. So I mean, yeah, that's what 1969 Chargers were worth back in 1977. Chris Bubba, congrats to Mopar Al on 2,500 subs. Al is killing it. Al is doing fantastic. Not only does he get the subs, but he's getting views. He's doing really good. Let's see. Raining Slade 6 with a chance of cannonballs. Tony, just tuned in. Besides reading as much David Vizard Smoky and Mopar Engine book as a teen like you did, I remember calling Techline and talking to Larry Shepard. He recommended bumping the pickup tube diameter one size. Well, he's talking about on a big block, and it only applies to a big block. The Hemi sucker tube is a half inch, and the regular tube is 7/16. So that was it was a common thing to do back in the day. I don't know if it has any real value. The big block Mopar doesn't. Okay, the big block Mopar with stock rods. Okay, once you go to like aluminum rods, it becomes a different thing. The motor's just hemorrhage oil internally, and you need that extra volume. But for a street engine, like with street oil clearances and steel connecting rods, no, you do not have to upgrade to the Hemi pickup size. Charles, the Hemi what tube? The Hemi sucker tube. That's what we used to call them. The oil pickup tube. We used to call it a sucker tube because that's what it does. It sucks oil. Rob Z, any idea what the No Name National 23 entry criteria will be? Will 2022 attendees be eligible? Oh, Jesus, you're already asking about next year? Let's get through this year first, man. I have no clue. John Wilburn or Dallas Brown can answer those questions. I cannot. Biggest media, how you made it over 500. Awesome. That's great. Congratulations, my brother. Kent Ward, I never answer your questions. Kent, this is really the first time I'm seeing here now. Kent, what is your question? I am going to clear the field and wait for your question to come up. I'm so sorry if you feel that you've been ignored. SH Beauty Car Tony 69. Yes, 69 with a 446 pack. Yeah, well, okay, it was a 69 Charger. It did burn some tires. It was a 69 Charger. The engine was a TNT 440 that I picked up from a guy named Mr. Stegman out in Tottenville. And his son had a 55 Chevy at the time, a small block 55 Chevy. Mr. Stegman ran a shop out of his backyard. This is on Page Avenue in Tottenville, which is completely different now. But back then it was like redneck paradise. And that first motor, no, the TNT was the second motor I had there. The first one was one that I bought at a Yakarina. All right, long story. But yeah, it had a regular 440 in it with a six-pack motor that I pulled off of a wrecked Roadrunner on Highland Boulevard. And there's actually a picture of me. I've got a picture at the house. I think I've shown it on this channel. There's a picture of me working on this thing when I'm 16 years old. We'll have to do something with that. Charles Manson, if you were doing a fuel economy build, would you go the 170, 198, or 225 slant? If it's a really lightweight car with a stick, I think the 170 would probably be an advantage. The 198, no, but I would think the 170 with a 3 or better even a 4-speed, an overdrive 4-speed, might be the way to go. But I think it's just going to be one of them, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I think you'd end up about even. Manto, I said 273. Okay, in that Charger, What's wrong with the 198? The 198 has a shorter stroke than a 225 and a longer rod. It makes no bottom end power at all. The 198 is a terrible motor to work with. Okay, so if I said 273, in between, right? Okay, in between my 440s, I had the first 440 and I windowed it. In between the first 440 and the second 440, I had a 273 in that car just to have it running, just so I could drive it around. So that car had so many different motors in it. It had a 400 out of a trooper car that I bought that was wrecked in front of my shop. Oh God, I had so many. That thing had so many incarnations. Tony, when you coming to California to check my car? Never. Absolutely never. I'm never going to California again. Not that I have anything against California. I have no interest in going there. Mr. Will's Dying Pre Garage. Tone, listen to an old Wednesday Night Live today while working on the Buick. You predicted the classics will go nuts. How did you know? Bro, I mean, I pay extremely close attention to world economic matters, world economic things, and I have for the last 25 years. So to me, it's a no-brainer to see what is going to, in a time like this, where we're in the very basic, the very beginning of a hyperinflationary blow-off. Things that are perceived to have lasting value are where wealthy people, because you got to get rid of your dollars. The dollars are no good. It's just toilet paper. So wealthy people know this, and wealthy people have two problems now. They're worried about two things: A, bank bail-ins, which means that their accounts in the gone, just like that. The bank bail-in is an absolute possibility in today's economic environment, and hyperinflation. Right? So no matter how you look at it, economically, we're screwed. People who have wealth, who understand money, know this. And so they're looking to get rid of their dollars any way that they can. So they look to buy things that have lasting value. They buy gold, they buy silver, they buy jewelry, they buy antiques, they buy gold violins, they buy, you name it, right? And now they're buying vintage cars. So it's wait until you see what the value of a typical slant six. Yes, and Kathy's jumping in. This is not financial advice. It's not financial advice. Wait until you see what a typical six-cylinder economy 1960s or 1970s car goes for. Because I am telling you right now, you will absolutely live to see the day before you know it that like a six-cylinder Maverick, right, a 75 Maverick with a straight six is going to go for $100,000 and better. Okay, you mark my words. I miss Ken Ward again. Okay, I'm going to go back and find Ken Ward. Ken Ward. Okay, I'm scrolling back here, guys, and I'm trying to find Ken Ward. There you go. Okay, Ken, here we go with that. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I have the engine masturbators made amends. Old Iron Guy speaks very highly of you. Will you do a compare of 318 and 302? Compare the 318 to the 302, the Windsor, the Ford you're talking about? The 302 is a better, honestly, I'm a Mopar guy, right? The 318 is beefier. There's no question about it. But inch for inch, pound for pound, the Windsor Ford is better. It doesn't have as good a cylinder head. But it's to compare the 318 and the 302 is kind of apples and oranges. They're really two different engines. They were designed different. Okay, the 318 has its roots in the 1950s polysphere engines. Okay, which were intended. They were low RPM motors intended to move giant, huge cars at 50 miles an hour relatively effortlessly, because that was the design parameters of the 1950s. The bottom end of the 318, 334, all the small block Mopar, has its roots in those polysphere engines. And because of that, the 318 is extremely, the small block, but the 318 specifically is extremely strong compared to the 302 Ford. Now, the Windsor Ford was designed a little bit later, okay, as an economy motor to be used in small, light cars. So it's packaged easier. There's more. It's been in use for a longer period of time. There's more of them out there. There's more performance support. There's more general knowledge. They're lighter. They're happier. They're just awesome engines. So, as a Mopar guy, yes, I have small block Mopars. But if I was blank slate and you had to say, well, which one of these engines is going to be a better performance choice, to the 302's got it, man. There's just the 302's got it. Who said that? Oh, Franco. Okay. This is great. This is great. This is okay. This applies. What Franco said here applies to all classic cars. Okay, all these cars that we're concerned with. Right. He says a classic car dealer once told me there is no such thing as paying too much for a Duesenberg. It's simply a matter of buying it too soon. Bingo! You just described the entire classic car market as it exists today. Otto 13. This is why Tony has the best YouTube channel. He's honest regardless of his bias. Well, I mean, does it do me any good to make up things? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you ask me which is better, and I'm going to tell you which is better. Don't mean I like it more. You know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily like the best thing. You know what I mean? You know, you got a wife or a girlfriend. Is she the most beautiful girl on the planet? You know, maybe to you, but but honestly, I mean, she's not. She's probably completely average, but you love her. She's your favorite, right? So it's the same thing with cars. You know what I mean? The stuff that I like may not be the rarest or the most exotic or the strongest or the whatever, but I like them because I like them. So, but he asked me, right? So does it do any good to make things up about Mopar being so much better? That's my taste. That's what I like. Let's see. Duke's Mopar Garage. I helped a buddy get his 83 Mustang with a stock bottom end 302 to cook off 1040 quarter miles with a turbo. Yeah. Big Belly Racing. What was your first car you owned and drive? I told you, my 69 Charger. Holden Mad. I think this is the longest I've seen you without a smoke. As I was reading that, I was like seriously thinking about relighting the one that I was smoking. Ray Brinsight. But will generations to come even care about a 60s car? Yes. They're beautiful cars, right? They're beautiful machines. Kids today have a great okay here, and like I kid you not, right? So I have all these different cars. I don't know how many cars I got. I got a lot of cars. Okay, the vast majority at any given time are running and drivable cars, right? The one car that I have that gets the most compliments is a white 64 Dodge Dart, a 4-door. Okay, we call her Mrs. Landy, right? It's got a 170 slant 6 push button automatic. It's a little roachy. Okay, it's got slot mags. I'm sure you guys have seen this car, right? I haven't driven it probably in about probably over a year now. It's just sitting here in the shop. That car gets more discussion, more compliments than anything else that I own. Okay, anything else that I own, and kids love that car. I cannot tell you how many times, because I have schools all in my the area I'm in is very is young, right? There's a lot of it's family area, so there's a lot of teenagers and so forth. I cannot tell you how many thumbs up I get. I drive that car past like the high school, like the bus stops in the morning coming to the shop, and they were looking, they're going, cool old school, right? They love that freaking car. So yes, right. There are certain things that are just timeless, man. There are certain things that just appeal to people. It's just like you look at a 70 CUDA or a 71 CUDA. It's a 52-year-old car, but it looks like it's brand new, right? So, it's timeless. So the cars from that era have a distinction. They stand out. They make a statement, even the least. And so, yeah, kids that are growing up today will absolutely have an appreciation for those cars. Frank Caputo, I agree. My buddy has a 64 Dart GT. He gets so many looks, I cannot believe it. I am telling you, man. I am telling you. Go ahead and build a whatever it is, man. Pick an exotic car, okay? Pick an exotic, whatever it happens to be, right? Pick an exotic car. Have it have giant wheels on it. Have a blower sticking out of the hood, right? Have a roll cage. Have a parachute. Have all of this stuff, right? Crazy, crazy paint job. Totally maxed out, okay? And drive it through just regular everyday traffic. And people will look at you. People will look at you. There's no question about it. They'll look at you, okay? But and a couple of people will be like, cool car, right? But now take just that same car, but drive it through town stock, just regular stock, okay? And people will bring up like, okay, I drive Mrs. Landy or any of these cars. I cannot pull into a gas station without somebody walking over and starting a conversation. Right? People love to talk about these things because they're approachable. They're approachable. It's like, oh, that's just such a cool old car, and they like them better with patina. You know what I'm saying? You drive a perfect shiny one, and people again, they'll look at it, they'll give you a thumbs up and stuff like that. But when the car looks like it's a little roachy, maybe it's got a rust hole here or there, people will walk up to you and just start yapping about it. Actually, Kiwi and I were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, right? And he's like, I build show cars. I build these crazy show cars and doesn't get any attention. I drive this thing around and everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to buy it. Everybody wants to talk to you about it. So yeah, it's a universal thing, man. People love basic stuff. Okay, so your Dart will be the new Liberty Mutual car. With the ostrich, man, that would be pretty cool. Okay, Kathy's saying I missed 2 super chats, so I got to scroll back to get my super chats. I'm sorry, my Franco. Why'd you send me $5, brother? Man, don't do that. I got to send you $5 back. Thank you. Okay, I missed another one here. Oh God, how far back do I got to go to find the super chat? Guys, if I missed your super chat, I'm sorry, man. I start yapping. Oh, Jeff Goodson, $2. Would you own, or would you ever own a Corvair? I love Corvairs. Okay, would I own one? No, because I don't have any Corvair parts. So if I had one, it would be just an orphan. I have nothing for it. But I love those cars. I absolutely adore them. I always have, even when I was a kid. Like, 60, like the Barracuda, like 67 through 69 Barracudas. I love the notchbacks because they remind me of Corvairs with that long flat rear deck. I just love them. So yeah, no, I see Corvairs, I geek out over Corvairs. I don't want to own one. I have no desire to own one, right? But I want to check out yours if you do. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense? Let's see. Anthony Rogers, what about a 77 Plymouth Volare? Do you like these F-body Mopars? Let me tell you something. They drive fantastic. I'm not crazy about the styling on them. They're just a little off. Okay. Okay. So like you look at the A-body line, right? The A-body line is right up until 72. Then 73, The bumpers, they started to change the styling, and they're off. They're off. I love them, but they're off. Okay, and then you take the Aspens and Volares, right? So and that's the next step past and now they're really kind of off. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but okay, so that's from a visual standpoint. But from a driving standpoint, they're the best out of all of those small Mopars. Think of the F body as a cross between the A body and the B body, right? And they, out of all of that era cars, right, they drive the best. You know, they just make good daily drivers. 55 Hemi Dutch, thank you for the super chat. Joe K, I wonder if we'd ever see a craving for the plain Jane 80s cars. I'm talking Chevy Celebrity, Ford Tempo, K cars. K cars have a cult following. It's a tiny cult following. I'm not aware of any for those other cars. I think that I don't think the domestics, but I tell you what, the Japanese cars from that era have serious cult followings. But no, I don't think a Chevy Celebrity or Ford Tempo will ever have any sort of desirability. Yes, I've seen Matt's off-road recovery Corvair. Kiwi, what's happening? I was just talking about you, brother man. I think we should dust off that 67. Yeah, I told you. Let's get that thing. We got to get that ready for the non-name nationals. That last generation of Corvair is just right, man. It's just right. It's right. And they made great looking funny cars. DD Speed Shop, did the junkyard jet make some noise of it? It certainly did. The motor made some noise. Well, we'll show some of that tomorrow. KY Mopar, Tony, do you ever get to Beach Bend and Bowling Green? Yeah, the last time I was there, it was when I was there with what the hell was his name? There was the backyard. Art Dromgoole had a car called the Backyard Guys. It was a Top Fuel car, and I was there in oh god, I was there with that car in like 2010, 2012, like that, someplace in that range. And then they did away with all of that, and I haven't really been there since. Okay. Franco, Daytonas and Superbirds were pariahs when they were new. Like up until like 72, 70, they were still pumping those things. Or they still had them sitting on dealers' lots in like 1972. Matt S. Tony, think the late 70s Challengers will start? Those are the Mitsubishis. They were really good cars. Will they ever have any type of collectability? I don't think so. There just aren't enough survivors out there. They didn't have an enthusiast following when they were new, and there aren't really enough survivors out there to make them popular. I don't think so. Let's see. When's the last time I saw a Sapporo? Well, that was the Plymouth version of it, the Sapporo. When was the last time I saw one? Wasn't too long ago. It was. I went to look at this is maybe a year ago. Kathy would remember. This was maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago. Went to look at a 69 Fury that was on Facebook Marketplace for cheap money. It was like $300. Come and get it. So I said, all right, let's do that. And I went out there, and the pictures didn't do this thing justice. The entire back of the roof, like the back window, was missing. It had rotted away. So we walked away from that. But he had one of those cars. It was either a Challenger or a Sapporo sitting off on the side that looked fairly complete. But honestly, I couldn't find that thing again right now if you paid me. Um, let's see. Uh, let's see. Mike N. Why did I move the vacuum advance from ported to manifold vacuum on John's Caddy? No EGR on it was there. Keep up. I was trying to get a little more timing in what I was trying to get more idle timing without increasing the mechanical advance. So that's why I switched it to, and it helped on that. That engine has at least one really weak cylinder, and it needs as much advance as it can get. So at idle to keep it smooth. So that's why I switched the vacuum line there, and it did make a difference. Scat Pack, any oil additives that might help lubricate the cam area to prevent failure. You want zinc. Zinc is the only ZDDP. That's the only thing you need to be concerned with a flat topic cam. And obviously, it's not necessary with a roller cam. John Mossums, Tony, do you know what the difference is between a standard carb and a blow-through carb? The blow-through carb has to have the bowls sealed to the. So in other words, a Holly works because the Holly the bowl vents would be in the enclosure for your blow-through setup. The bowls have to be boost referenced. They have to be equal, and the same thing with the mechanical fuel pump. It has to be boost referenced also if you're going to do that. What else is there? Like for instance, if you're going to set up a Holly for blow through, the opening where the choke rod goes through, right? That has to be sealed. What else? What else on a blow through on that? Obviously, vacuum advance is done. Those are the only things I can think of. Those are really the only things I can think of. The when they would do blow through Edelbrocks, or even before Edelbrocks, Carters, they used to actually, like if you look at the Mr. Norm's ones, they used to enclose the entire carburetor in a box and pressurize it that way. But on the Hollies, you don't have to do that because it's all within the confines of the air horn. Yes, the power valve is different also. Thomas Arajo, would you recommend diesel oil for the 318 Magnum to extend its life? The Magnum has roller cam, so it doesn't need any special oil. You would use a diesel oil on a flat tappet cam. BDN 1324, solid plastic floats for blow through carb. Brass ones crush under a certain amount of boost. What is the level of boost before the brass ones crush? Anybody know that? Square body Dodge 7686. Ever have an issue with a 727 where it drives forward when put into neutral or reverse? Yes and no. It could be. There's so many different things that could cause that. JW, 11 pounds. Okay, so at 11 psi, the brass floats crush, and you got to go to a plastic one. You run diesel oil and everything, including a lawnmower. No, it doesn't hurt. Samuel, if you like four doors, you should come to Australia. Most of our muscle cars had all American drivelines, but in sedans mostly. In my life, I have never. I see. People don't believe me when I say it. I have never seen a difference between a two-door and a four-door. To me, they're all exactly the same. I tell people my life is too short to run around counting doors. It is what it is. I either like the car or I don't like the car. And the number of doors that it has never entered into consideration for me. If I like the car, I like the car. I like four doors as much as I like two doors. It makes no difference to me. Other people are just adamant. Oh, I only like two doors. I only like four doors, sedans, whatever it happens to be. And me, I just do not care. I have equal love for two and four doors. Doesn't make any difference to me. Hmm. And I get it. I get it. Some people like certain things. There's a certain aesthetic, right, that they're looking for, and that's important to them. And those are the people who will choose, let's say, a two-door over a four-door. But I never cared about that. So it's like, does that make any sense? It's like, if you don't care about something, you can't make yourself care about it. And I never cared about whether a car had two or four doors. Kenward, sorry, I meant My Vintage Iron speaks very highly of you. I've seen his channel. Yes, he's really good, that guy. When are you and Young Vizard going live again? I got to get together. Andy, are you still on here? Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage is David's buddy. They work together. I'd like to say I would like to get back together with them soon, very soon. Let's see. Who is the 727 YouTuber I recommended? I don't remember. I do not remember. Thank you, Mr. Will. Tone, of all the 70s full-size Mopars, which was the best driver and highway cruiser? Was there a better full-size car? Okay, so you talk about your full-size cars, right? Fords were horrible. Okay, 70s full-size Fords were horrible. Okay, they rode like you were sitting in a pillow. Okay, but they did nothing. They wheezed. They were overweight, underpowered, mushy cars that always had issues. Right. The full-size GM cars were solid. You know what I mean? But the Chryslers were nimble. Okay, like you take a 70s C-body Mopar and you take a 70s full-size GM, and the full-size Mopar feels like a compact. It feels like a mid-size car, I should say, compared to the GM cars. The GM cars were very ponderous, but the Chryslers of that era, like the 70s, like the full-size. So you're talking about Monacos, Newports, New Yorkers, Polaris, all of those 70s, those mid-70s C-body Mopars were really nimble cars. They didn't weigh nearly as much as the Ford or GM versions. Just very happy, nimble cars, even though they were still like boats, right? Let's see. AMC Ambassador has them all they were good cars. Though they were actually really good cars. They put more stuff in. AMC, right? Here's the thing, right? If you go to the 70s, right? They were in a death spiral. AMC was in a death spiral because their market had kind of like moved on. Their bread and butter were the Ramblers and whatnot. That was their thing, right? And that market moved on. By the time the 70s came along, the imports had that locked down. So AMC had to compete with the midsize and the full size Ford GM and Chrysler offerings. So they threw down hard, man. They doubled down and gave extra everything, right? Like there was just extra little trims or niceties or options that were built, that the AMC threw in those 70s cars that really you got a lot of bang for your buck. They had like nicer interiors, they had nicer seats, nicer material and stuff like that. Um, they really went all out in those cars. It's a shame that they're basically extinct today. SRP, you love the interior of a 65 Monaco two-door. That's that one. That's the interior that had that tweed sort of thing. It was like a basket weave. Is that am I thinking about the right interior? AMC Rebel. Oh, please. You see, that's what I'm talking about, right? They had to work harder. Look at the Rambler Scrambler. Okay, that's what I mean, right? AMC, when they did something, they went that little extra step, right? So you look at like the Scrambler is like the perfect example, with the tack hose clamped to the steering column. You buy a brand new car that's got a hose clamped, tack on the steering column. You know what I'm saying? The T-handle shifter, the snorkel freaking hood scoop. Okay, this is like crazy stuff in 1869. This is like way over the top, right? Because everything AMC did, man, they had to go that extra step to get your attention, to get the buyer's attention. Man, a 7071 Furies when I just on my way here tonight, right? On my way here tonight, I passed on Highway 96 over here. I passed a guy on a trailer that had a 69 or a 70 Fury. I couldn't tell because it was like right, he was going past me. Had a 69 or a 70 Fury on a trailer. It was a two-door. Yeah, so evidently there's one now locally in my area. Buffalo Camper was saying Ambassador was the first car with air conditioning as standard equipment. That's right. Kyle Teal, can you say a few things on the 69 Plymouth GTX? I've been thinking about building one. In my opinion, the 69 GTX is the nicest of the bunch. The 68s are beautiful. You can't take it away from the 70. Okay, the nature of the 70 Plymouth B bodies definitely took away from the GTX package because in 70, all of the things that were like padded in 68 and 69 became like molded plastic. The 70 Plymouths, 70 B bodies had a cheaper feel to them than the earlier cars. Okay. And in 70, they went to the Charger style dashboard, which in my mind takes away from that GTX thing, the gentleman's like muscle car. So the 69 out of all of them with that black, see the 69 is the only one that has that trim that runs along the lower third of the body. So the bottom part of the body is blacked out, right? That little piece of trim there makes it like the 69 has, it has the sweep 150 mile an hour speedo. It's got padded dash. It has that nice, beautiful wood grain on the panels, on the door panels. The 69, in my opinion, is the classiest out of all of the G. I think the 67 is the most beautiful. I think the 69 is the classiest out of all of them. So yeah, if I was going to do a GTX for myself, it would either be a 67 or a 69. Mr. Will, you're saying you have to admit your 69 Charger is a bit too much plastic. Try the 70. The 70 is all of the stuff like the the dash pads on the 69, they're padded, right? They're actually padded. On the 70, they're all molded plastic. And I'll tell you what happens is it cheapens the overall feel of the car. Like they started cutting corners in 70. And you drive a 69 B body, you drive a 70 B body. And like let's say on a rough road, that type of thing. And you can really feel the difference in the 69 kind of just absorbs the vibrations and noise and stuff like that. And the 70 transmits it. It's small subtle differences, but I'm telling you, they make a difference. If you drive enough of these cars, if you've had enough of these cars, you can start to say, like, you put me in a 69, you put me in a 68, a 69, or a 70B body, right? And blindfold me and ask me which car am I in. I will tell you which car you're in. John Wilburn wants me to tell the Nitro dog story. Oh God, I'm gonna have PETA on my ass over that. John Dixon, are you going to Carlo this year? I am not going to Carlo. Nitro dog story. Kathy, should I tell the story about Spike? What happened to the model I was going to show? Okay, I got to show this. This is awesome. Okay. So here's the note I got. Okay, here's the note I got. Tony, thanks so much for sharing the Plan Z model on your Wednesday night program. I was blown away. Enclosed is a 124th bottle rocket kit. As usual, all parts and labor are guaranteed for life. Be warned, the side view mirror is mucho fragile. And so this is from KJ Kiley. Okay, he's in Pittsburgh, PA. He's a model builder. All right. I don't know if he would want me to give out his phone information, but if you guys want a model built, okay, seriously, right? This is like no joke, man. This guy is an artist. Okay, you can reach this guy at pay attention. KJ Kiley, KIELY 59 at onecloud.com. Okay. KJ Kiley, KIELY 59 at onecloud.com. Okay. So I got to show you this. All right. So he sent me this. This is just absolutely amazing. This is a model of Bottle Rocket. So the detail on this thing is off the chain. It's off the chain. Okay. Every defect on the car, every little thing that it has, like pieces that are missing, and like even like the trim holes where I pulled the trim off the side and I hit it with some paint so it wouldn't rust. It's all in there. He's even got my Captain America crash helmet sitting inside of it. I don't know if you can see that. It's an exact replica of Bottle Rocket. I am blown away by the details of this thing. It's ridiculous. Thank you again. Thank you so much. Please don't send me stuff. Okay. I'm like the opposite of most YouTubers. Okay. It's like, people are like, oh, send me things, right? Please don't send me anything. But this is special. There's so much love that went into this. I'm absolutely blown away by it. Thank you. Thank you. Andy, I may have to race you with this. Andy, do you have one of these of Casper? Looks like you shrunk the car. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, John Wilburn, yes, you got here just in time to time Dakota out. Big Belly Racing, Uncle Tony, were the Daytonas and Superbirds looked at as exotics when they were new? They were looked at as like, what the hell is that? Nobody wanted those cars. Nobody wanted those cars. Let's see. Buell Blast needs a model. I was gonna work on that today. Actually, I rolled it over to work because I got to take the primary cover on the clutch off. I got to fix something with the shifter. I don't know if it's the drum or if it's the linkage on the outside of it. I don't know, but I got to pull the clutch off of it to get to it. And I was going to work on that today, and I got sidetracked with a bunch of different things. Chase Bryan, what was the very first car that got you hooked on that you built? Man, I was hooked from birth. I've just always been a car guy. You do? Well, we need to race our models. Um, Mike G, you have a dyno you're going to send? Uh, Throttle Davidson, hey honey, it shrank bottle rocket. Um, James Perry, ever got into dirt racing? You know something? I might have if I had grown up in a different place. I grew up in New York City. So in New York City, there's only street racing / drag racing. That was it. There was no dirt scene or anything like that. If I had grown up here, like I'm in Nashville, I'm south of Nashville, Tennessee. If I had grown up here, it probably would have been a different story. I think I could definitely see myself digging dirt. I could definitely see myself digging sprint cars. But where I came from, it didn't. Those things just did not exist. Um, Kyle Till, does that 69 GTX accept a 4-link rear pretty easily? Bro, I'm not even going to answer that question. If you take a B-body Mopar and you stick a freaking 4-link in it, I mean, no, I have no words for that. I have no words for that. That's um, George Villas. Hey Tony, did you ever race in Flatlands, Brooklyn? I don't know what Flatlands, Brooklyn is. Flatlands. Chase Barry, thank you for the super chat. Bottle Rocket inspired my Smugger 400 build. I hope you have better luck with it than I have up to this point. Disavowed is the word I'm looking for. Yes, disavowed. Flatbush. I mean, I can't ever remember racing directly in Flatbush. Yeah, Tony, John Wilburn is saying, Tony, he needs a 4-link to run a second or two slower than Dave Dudek. So Dave Dudek, okay, with his 69 Roadrunner, runs 980s with stock satellite station, not even station wagon, stock Plymouth satellite springs, not super stock springs, not Hemi springs. He runs regular Plymouth satellite springs on an H7015 polyglass tire, and this car goes 980s. Okay, so until you can make your completely stock suspension 7-inch wide polyglass tire car run 980s in the quarter mile, don't even think about a 4-link. Flatlands is King's Plaza. Okay. Hey, it's been a long time. Probably. Yeah, Kathy, I just did the model. I just showed him the model. Jim Jungle, dirt really works engine parts. You find out where the weak links are when running dirt track. Same thing with marine. Marine and dirt, I know, are true tests of engine. I get that. I know that. Mike Batista, bottle rocket is going automatic. Might be faster on the nitrous. Well, I've never run it on nitrous. We still have. Well, I think I scored it once. But I'm not saying. You know, you guys will just have to wait until the No Name Nationals, and then you'll see what we did with the car. What about the dog story? Oh God. I'm not going to tell the dog story now. I'm not going to tell it now. DD Speed Shop. We all need a cat. Well, you got your own, man. We all need Kathy in our life to keep us between the lines. You got one too. Um, Mexican Spike, did you barbecue a dog with a nitro car? No, I did not barbecue a dog with a nitro. Uh, okay. This is back around 1996, right? 1995, 1996. I don't know. I don't even remember the exact year, right? But I had a fuel altered at the time, right? So okay, one of my neighbors has a dog. Okay, his name is Spike. He's a beagle. Okay, so now I was not now. You remember, I'm a dog person. Okay, I have 4 of them, all girls. Okay, and they run my life. Okay, my dogs are everything to me. All right, and you guys, Kathy, I'm sickening with my freaking dogs. Okay, but Spike, all right. So Spike, I had a neighbor. This is in New York, and Spike had one eye. Okay, he had one eye that was all jacked up. Okay, and they were going to have this dog put to sleep. Okay, and he was like a young dog, and I felt bad. I was like, I know it's healthy otherwise, right? So Kathy wanted to give him a home, so I says, all right, fine, fine, bring him in. Okay, bring him in. All right. So here's the thing with Spike. Okay, so me and Spike, we never got along. Okay, right? There was a competition. It was like we were at war with each other. It was constant. Okay, constant. We were always butting heads with each other, right? And this dog used to. I got to watch the language that I use. Like, okay, but he used to do it to my pillows. Okay, my pillows, right? This dog would violate my freaking pillows. Okay, you see how this is going? I walk in and he would just start barking at me and just like it was ridiculous. Okay, I was like, what am I gonna do? But so I got to live with this friggin' dog. So I have the fuel altered, right? And we take the thing to Atco, Englishtown, Atco, whatever it was, and we were going to run it this day. Okay, so we brought the dog with us because what do? You got to bring the dog with you. So we brought the dog with us, and he didn't like the car. Right? He was okay around the car until it was running, but when it was running, he wanted to have nothing to do with this thing. So I had the ramp truck, right? So picture this now. Instead of pitting alongside the ramp truck, for whatever reason, we had to pit the car behind the ramp truck. And the ramp truck had a tow ball on the back of it. And I tied Spike's leash to the tow ball. Okay. So Spike, I gave him a bowl of water and shit, right? And he's there and he's hanging out, right? And we're working on the car, we're servicing the car. And it comes time to light the car up. Okay. So now Kathy's sitting in the car, to hold the brake and all of that. And I'm outside of it. Okay, I'm gonna run this thing. So here's the ramp truck. Okay, here's the ramp truck. Here's the race car. Okay, facing the ramp truck, and here's Spike in the middle, hanging out there, right between the ramp truck and the front of the race car. So I'm running a bottle. I'm warming it up on gasoline. I got the engine running on gasoline, a squirt bottle, right? So I'm feeding it gas. And I turn around and I look, right? And Spike has this look on his face. He's only got one eye, right? And he's like he's freaked out, okay? And this thing's just on gasoline, okay? It's just on gas. So it's sitting there. I'm running it, right? And I go, on gas. And I turn around, right? And I'm looking at the fucking dog, right? And the dog is like, right? Okay? So I reach down. I turn on the nitro, okay? So this thing goes, and it starts doing his thing, right? And I turn around and I look at the dog, and the dog's like totally freaked. Like he's like this, okay? And I'm like, fuck my pillows, will you? And I went, whoop! And I hit the throttle. When I whacked the throttle, he goes shooting under the truck, and he left a turd, right? So you got to picture this, okay? You can't make this up, okay? He ran away from his own turd. It was just floating in air. He turned it because as I whacked the throttle, I looked at him. I'm looking at him as he whacked, whoop, right? And he takes off under the truck, and there's a turd floating in midair. Poof! It just hits the ground. That's my Spike story. I hated that dog. I hated that dog, and he hated me. But I took care of him until the day he died. I took care of him until the day he died because I make a commitment to something. I said I see it through. As much as I hated that freaking dog, right? But I took care of him till the day he died. The floating poop. I will never. He literally ran away from his own poop. You see a new UTG shirt, a new UTG shirt in the making. Man, I'm telling you, man, that dog. It was like it was because it was an alpha thing. Okay, it was an alpha thing. And I'm telling you, I am the world's biggest dog person. Nobody loves dogs more than I do. You have no idea, right? You have no idea. But it was just me and this freaking. Fred Gomez, what was your top speed in the fuel altered? My best run with that car was 202 miles an hour in the eighth. In the eighth. I never got I never got all the way to the other end with that car. But it ran 202 in the eighth, which was extremely stout for that. And it ran fast. It ran harder than I thought it would. It ran harder than it should have. But a very light car. It was just a hair over 1,500 pounds, ready to run. Yeah, he wanted to be dominant, right? No, I showed him who was boss. I showed him. Tony, did you go nuts when they quit making cutty pipe? I don't know what that is. I don't know what cutty pipe is. John Bossoms, Tony, are you a fan of the old hubcaps too instead of the Magnum 500 wheels? Yes, I do. I've always liked dog dishes. Well, that was the last male dog I'll ever allow in my world. From that point forward, they've all been females. Franco, Tony, isn't somebody restoring that fuel altered chassis? I don't know. Oh, Franco. Okay, Franco. So we were talking about the Ram truck, and you said it was Ron Leafs, and it was not Ron Leafs. It was Bobby Pickett's. That Ram truck, and I don't know, maybe Ron Leaf had it at one point, but it was Bobby Pickett's Ram truck. The chassis was a Pluger. That was also Bobby Pickett's. And now that Pluger chassis. So here's the thing: I had a Sarté, and I ended up having to rebuild that entire car because it wouldn't pass the 10-1B. So there was just a few pieces, like the front end and everything was still off the Sarté. I didn't fit that car. So when we had the fire in Englishtown against Force, this was like the 92 summers. Was it the 92 summers? I don't even remember. I sold the one that I had put together that was based off the Sarté, and I bought the one from Bobby. Actually, he owed me money. It was a thing. So that's the car I used. That's the car that was in Hot Rod Magazine. That was the one that was featured in Hot Rod Magazine. I think it was the April 1997 issue. All right. So when I quit, when I went cold turkey, that car ended up with this kid named Shaky. We used to call him the Shaker. And he was like my right-hand man. I would get called because I was for hire for a few years. So I would get called to go to a race, and I would call Shaky, and Shaky was my helper. He was like my right-hand man, and we would go, he'd travel with me. So When I went cold turkey, I quit after the crash in Leicester. I was like, done. I'm done. I'm done. Right? No more drag racing. I gave that chassis to Shaky, and that's the last I heard or seen of it. This was in 1998. So I have no idea what's up with that now. Larry Gomez, is it true that cam will determine peak RPM horsepower no matter what even boost will not change where it peaks? Like if you make 300 horsepower, 5,300 RPM, and you boost it and you make 400 horsepower, still will be at 5,300 RPM? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't believe that's true, but I don't have anything. I'd have to think about that, man. I don't know. That's a good question. Larry, that's a really good question. I have to ponder on that. All right. Oh shit, we're running up on 2 hours already here. George Velez, Tony, what's your opinion on LA 340 with modern Magnum heads? I mean, I don't know. See, that's another one I have to think about. I guess we're getting towards the end of the night now where I can't think straight. It's like I'm just tired. I don't know. The Golden 67. Hey, question: does going from 1.5 rockers to 1.6 to 1.7 gain anything? It can, but you also have to start worrying about lift now. You have to worry about retainer clearance. You know, where at what point does the retainer come in contact with the valve guide? So if you're talking about a very short lift cam, let's say you got a cam that's in the 480 range, 490 lift, and you go from a 1.6 to a 1.7, 1.5 to 1.6, you're fine. But if you're at the edge, let's say you're at like a 510, 520 lift cam, and you go to like a 1 point, you increase the ratio by a point, there's a good chance at that point you run into clearance problems between the retainer and the valve guide. Joe K, would you ever do any aerodynamic tricks to Plan Z, or is it not worth it? I don't know. I'm anxious to get the car out and see what it's going to do with the combination that's in there now. Aero, I probably not. I don't know, but let me get the car out and just get it in circulation, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I think what I might do is use a flexible air dam on the K frame to keep air from hitting under the car. I wouldn't do anything to clean up the grill. I like the way the car looks. You know what I'm saying? It's got a really cool, raw look at the front. So I wouldn't do anything to, even at the cost of performance. I just don't care that much. But I may do like a flexible rubber air dam under the K frame just to keep air from under the car. That's a possibility. But like I said, let me get out and run the car a couple of times first. All right. I think, guys, we're coming up on 2 hours, man, and I am just tired. I got to get out of here. So, okay, let me thank everybody. Super chat, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. It keeps the bills paid. It all gets used. Everything gets used. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Everybody contributed with just conversation. Your presence, being part of the greatest automotive community on YouTube. All of you, thank you so much. You have no idea how grateful I am to be surrounded by the kind of people that we have following this channel. Thank you. Our mods, Ari, John, Zero, Fubar, thank you guys. Right? Always, right? Thank you. And that's it. I'll be back on Wednesday night with Dallas for our Wednesday Night Tech Talk. John Wilburn, again, No Name Nationals. You have any questions, anything you want to know about the No Name Nationals, John Wilburn or Dallas Brown, right? John Wilburn does lives on his channel specifically dedicated to the No Name Nationals. So go over there, sub to him. Mopar Al, right? You know, Al's working on a slide camera now. He's doing all kinds of stuff with late model Hemi stuff then. I always screwed out with late model Hemi stuff. So if you're interested in that, go subscribe to Mopar Al. And I think that's it. I think that's it, right? Did I cover everything? I probably did. No, I'm sure I forgot something, but I don't really care. So thank you guys, and I'm out of here. Good night, all.